Hey guys, Professor Bell, Comic Book University, and podcast number, what is this? Something, 54. Okay, so let's just have a quick little conversation here about some things. First off, Gail Kadat uh, talks about how she ignored, what's his face, James Cameron. Let me just move a couple things over really quick here. Okay, I'm good. How she ignored James Cameron, she's just now getting back to talking about it. And let me tell you something right now. This is probably one of the classiest moves ever. This is awesome. Like hearing her explain it and all that stuff, that's awesome. Here's what happened. You remember James Cameron, and I covered this a while ago. James Cameron had said a couple of what could be appeared as Doug, what's up, brother? James Cameron said what is obviously some insightful language. He said that Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, was overly sexualized, and it didn't add anything to the movie genre, and this, that, and the other thing. And Patty Jenkins actually fired back, but Gal Gadot never said anything about it. Patty Jenkins, the director for Wonder Woman, I can't quantify how amazing Patty Jenkins is for the work that she did. Absolutely amazing. Hey, Dick, what's up, brother? So, yeah, I love Patty Jenkins. As far as I'm concerned, Patty Jenkins could direct the Comic Book University movie. It may happen. You never know. She can direct whatever she wants to direct, in my opinion. It's my opinion that she should have open license to direct whatever she chooses. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's a blank contract. You fill in the movie. It's yours. That's my opinion. Because to be able to take just some actors that she didn't get to, especially the lead actress, the lead actor, Gal Gadot, taking her, even though she said flat out, I never, ever would have hired her. She said this. Her Twitter account, she wasn't hacked. She's said this. She says, I never would have solicited Gal Gadot to be the lead, to be Wonder Woman. Absolutely never. But I'm glad I got to work with her, and she made it really political afterwards. And she was a professional, and she was really good, and it was good all this stuff. That's awesome. And I've mentioned before how Patty Jenkins was able to make all sorts of scenes around Wonder Woman happen, that Wonder Woman that Gal Gadot could just kind of walk into, looking pretty, and yes, I know. You're very pretty, Gail. Now shut up. Go back in the corner and shut up. Do your little bracelet thing and go. I don't know, whatever the hell it is that you're doing in the film. Um, Patty Jenkins is a freaking superstar. That's done. Here's the funny thing about, and she says, James doesn't know what he's talking about. He compared Terminator 2's what's her name, Sarah Connor, to a real hero, and this, that, and the other thing. But all the same things that he accuses her of doing, Gal Gadot doing, or me doing in the movie, is the same things that Sarah Connor had done. For instance, she was, in the first movie she was really tough, but then she goes and she winds up just having sex with the guy, and then but that was the first movie. But in the second movie, he specifically said the second movie, Sarah Connor was not sexualized at all, went forward, was butt kicking, was tough. Here's the thing, neither of them are wrong. They both make really good arguments for their cases. And I'm a little tired right now. Sorry, guys. I was actually asleep. My alarm went off. I'm like, what? What could that possibly be? Podcast. I was actually dreading the podcast because I was just so tired. Anyway, if it shows, sorry. So, anyway, they're both of them. They're not wrong. Neither of them are necessarily right, but neither of them are wrong either. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a weird kind of situation where unfortunately black and white doesn't have any business in this conversation here. You know what I'm saying? Everything are just shades of gray. So so Patty Jenkins is right that James Cameron, you've had like what, that and maybe one or two other instances where yes, that's the case. But how many movies have you actually done, James, where you've had a strong female character? You've never been about building the strong female character, and um, what's her name? Your actress. Oh, for crying out loud, I know her name. He married her at one point. Sarah Connor. She wasn't the main. She wasn't the lead in the movie. She was support. You know what I'm saying? Patty Jenkins actually did this with Gail Gadot, someone who was not her first pick, probably wasn't in her top 10 pick, never would have been on her radar. She's like, oh yeah, here you go, boom, done. You know what I'm saying? Um, she was actually the lead in the movie. At the same time, James is right. She did have the sex scene in the movie. It didn't really add anything to the movie. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have to have what's his name, Steve Trevor, die at the end of this. You didn't have to have him die at the end of the film. That didn't add anything to the film. If anything, it made it more like the Captain America First Avenger movie, which we definitely didn't need. So, a guy named Steve gets into a plane during a world war. It was supposed to be World War II. Patty Jenkins made it World War I instead. It was in the comic books. It was World War II, just like with Captain America. Gets in this big plane full of explosives and stuff like that, and commits suicide in order to stop this greater threat. You know what I'm saying? Hello, Captain Steve Trevor, unbelievable. Captain Steve Rogers, unbelievable. So yeah, he's not wrong. Plus, there's the sex scene in it, which it didn't add anything to it. It didn't add anything to it. There could have been the romance that developed later. I thought it was the best scene ever, where they're in the boat and they're leaving. And mind you, Wonder Woman is dated. Wonder Woman is very dated. I want you to seriously think about, let's just have a serious conversation for half a second here. And I love Wonder Woman, I do. But I also recognize that Wonder Woman is a product of her time. William Moulton Morrison, who was with two women at the same time, one of them who liked to wear metal bracers on her wrist, okay? Both of them bearing children for him. He was only married to one, but he was with the other, and they both lived in the same home. William Moulton Marston, who propagated himself a lot and said, oh yeah, I invented the polygraph, the lie detector test. Not really. Not really. He developed a process that didn't work, but it led with a partner, which led to the idea of the actual polygraph being created. All that aside, I love William Moulton Marston. He's awesome. Who was it? Stephen Gibbon, I think it was. Got zero credit for the design of Wonder Woman. He was the artist back then. I don't remember who that was. It's kind of like a Bob Kane situation. I created Batman. No, you didn't. Shut up. Sit down. Go back to the kiddie table. You don't get to eat with the rest of us, man. Thanksgiving or otherwise. Go away. Go stand in the corner with your stupid cape. But, say completely disrespecting Bill Finger. So, give Bob Kane the finger. Anyway, so Wonder Woman is extremely dated, man. The idea that here's this island full of women, cool so far, and they're warrior women, and they're training, and they're ready to battle back the aggressions of men, and they've gotten away from the aggressive male tendencies of the world. I'm with you so far, man. I'm with you. An island of women who can rule themselves, and they're self-sustained, and I'm with you. But then the youngest of them, the youngest of them, the one made of clay, she she lays eyes on the first man she's ever seen and immediately falls head over heels in love. You know what I'm saying? And mind you, he's the damsel in distress all the time, and I get it. She and Etta Candy are constantly saving them. Etta Candy saves Wonder Woman more than anything else because there's that. But Wonder Woman is she falls in love. This is the thing that always got me about it. She falls in love with the first guy she's seen, and that's it. She's smitten, done. Oh yeah, he was a hero and he was incredible and he was all this stuff, but it's dated. If you wanted to change something, you could have changed that. You didn't have to be that. And that's just my opinion. There are going to be people, of course, who are going to, attack me and be like, you're an idiot. How dare you try and change Wonder Woman? But these are also probably the same buttheads who think that Wonder Woman's the first female superhero. So there's that. Not even close. Hawkwoman dates her, and Phantoma was the first. So we can have that conversation, There's real fans who actually study the stuff, and then there's people who just think, no, this is what I learned. This is what my daddy taught me. You go sit down in the corner also. So, What do we got here? What movies are normies? Geez, let's see what's going up here. Jealous. I'm jealous. Shut up, Dick. Titan drops. Hello. You're new here. Welcome, welcome. So, what do we got? Oh, and PA Stewart, what's up, man? Joe Fisher, hey. So, they're both not wrong, but finally, here's the thing. Gal Gadot speaks up. And this was about as classy gets. All right. I don't usually have too many good things to say about Gal Gadot because she doesn't know the character. She learned about the character afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Which sometimes I'm fine with. Sometimes I'm fine with. I'm okay with it as long as you try to understand the character, afterwards. You don't have to be a fan thereof. If you're a fan beforehand, like Ryan Reynolds with Deadpool, you're gonna get what's probably a really true to form movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, I really feel that this is the character. He got the costume down. The only one in all of Fox movie history who got the actual costume down instead of changing the costume up. Ryan Reynolds, he did it because he knew the character. He loved the character. At the same time, if you don't know the character very well and you're just a really big fan of the character, you could be like Ryan Reynolds in Green Lantern. Sorry, Ryan Reynolds is a really good actor, and he did the role really well. But let's be realistic. Was that actually Hal Jordan? Because it didn't feel like Hal Jordan to me. Anyway, maybe he would have done a good Kyle Rayner, but that wasn't a very good Hal Jordan as far as I'm concerned. So the opening bit, but everything else, no, not really. Anyway, so. Gal Gadot turns around and she says, I didn't answer James Cameron because he really didn't have anything to add to the argument. Good points, bad points, whatever, but he had a movie coming out at the time. So clearly, he was simply saying this to get more attention to himself. So why would I give him that attention? Standing with you in solidarity. Because that is probably the classiest answer ever. It's literally like turn the screws on him. Like screw you, James Cameron. What a slap, right? What an absolute pimp slap. Go out there and make me money, James. That was just awesome. I love that. It's an absolute insult, but it's not the kind of insult you can get back. Look, you ever seen when somebody tries to be nice to you and then the other tries to be nice when, criticizing you with this, that, the other, and you can tell they really don't like you very much, but they're trying to be polite. They'll do some somehow subtle insult, but then you'll always get that barbarian who'll turn around and be like, yeah, well, F you, and blah, blah, and make his or her feelings very known. And then the other person just kind of, their back straightens up, they get that kinky smile in the side of their face, and they walk away knowing, gotcha. They made you lose, in the military we'd call it your military bearing, They made you lose your military bearing. You are not standing like a soldier anymore. You're acting like a freaking savage, what I'm saying? You're acting like a civilian. You're not acting like a soldier, what I'm saying? That's one of the tricks that people will try to do to see if you can lose your emotional stance, Can you try and stay a little bit away from the direct insults and do more of the sly, sullen insults instead, because it doesn't have to be personal. When you get emotional, they win though, and it's as personal as personal gets, and they're going to walk away laughing, and you're going to go home, infuriated. This was the perfect classy response that James Cameron probably went home that night and wasn't able to get anything up, so to speak. Literally, just lambasted him in the most polite way possible. He had a movie coming out. He was looking to get some notoriety for the movie, some attention to himself and to his movie. Why would I give that to him? That is a class act right there. Good on you, Gail. Good on you. Go win another Miss Israel thing. Yeah, that's right. So that was just awesome. Let's get on to something. Let's see what comments are in here real quick. Ryan Reynolds sucks. Not my Deadpool from the 90s. Dick, what do you like? What do you like that's not 90s, man? Joe Fisher, cast member Clark Gregg, who directed the episode, almost couldn't believe the wealth of oh my god moments he was allowed to deliver. onto S.h.i.e.L.D. fans. I had to watch this episode twice. Fun and game. Yeah, just reviewed it this morning because I was busy putting out my Ilyana Rasputin magic explained in a minute. That's right. I finally got around to her. I want to do Warlock. I do want to do Warlock explained in a minute, but just I think I might have to put that on a bit of hiatus, which means I'll probably never get to it now. I put Nikki from the original Guardians of the Galaxy, Guardians 3000. I put that on hiatus, along with Kruger. Put those two on hiatus. It's like, yeah, I'll get back to them. Never got back to them. Never got back to them. I'm still not putting them down. I still have a bunch of stuff written for them. I just didn't get to them yet. But I kind of have to do Flint because Flint now went through Terrigenesis in that film, in that episode, yesterday's episode. But on top of that, my wife reminded me that, was it the 16th, the 18th, something like that? Black Panther is coming out. So that's, next month in February. It's like, oh crap. I've got a month, 5 weeks basically, to get out all the rest of the Black Panther characters. I've got Manape out, M'Baku. I've got him. And go check out Manape, explained in a minute. There's a hyphen in there. Man-ape. Anyway. Yeah, so I've got to do Eric Killmonger. I've got to do should I do, yeah, I think that I don't usually do major characters, you know what I'm saying? But I think I'm going to have to do Black Panther. I don't think enough people understand who he is, but that's probably going to be like a 5-minute, explained in a minute video. So we'll see. We'll see what I do there. We'll see what happens there. Anyway, okay. Oh, and yeah, so I got to get all those guys out. Anyway, okay. Here's something fun. Lauren Schuller, who did the X-Men movies, still does the X-Men movies, executive producer and all that jazz. And Kevin Feige used to be her intern. All right, on the X-Men movie, I mentioned that Feige was the one who stood adamant, resolute, and said no. What's his name? Hugh Jackman as Wolverine has to have the Wolverine haircut. Has to. If he doesn't have that, the movie's not going to succeed. There's a bunch of things, but at least do that. And they put it in there, and we were all happy. You know what I'm saying? That was a huge thing. It's like, wow, they didn't do the costume, but they did that. So, and then Brian Taylor. No, excuse me. I'm going to get to that in a moment. And then Noah Hawley, who was tapped to do the when Fox was a thing, Fox Studios was a thing, was tapped to do the Doctor Doom solo movie, which step in the right direction. Fox could never get over the idea that, oh, Doctor Doom, he's the most popular one, we got to have him in a Fantastic Four movie. So the Roger Corman film, both of the 90s, what was that, 2000, whatever the heck that was, with Michael Chiklis as the Thing, and the Captain America Human Torch guy. I just saw recently, the first word he said in the the original Fantastic Four movie, that one was Captain. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't actually want to go back and watch. And also in the Fanforstic movie, Doctor Doom. So 4 attempts at doing Doctor Doom right. 2 of them conjoined. You know what I'm saying? Fantastic Four. Anyway, so these 4 guys do it. And if I do this, I'm a member of the WCW's greatest stable ever. Yeah, screw the NWO. Not really, but 4 Horsemen are better. So you have these 4 attempts at getting Doctor Doom on the big screen, and now they're going to try and do it again. But at least they're of the sense of, let's do a solo movie and just actually get the Doctor Doom character explained. Okay, boom, step in the right direction. I love it. Toby Kibble, I think was his name, is the guy who played Doctor Doom in the most recent one. So which means, since they were going to, reboot the character, reboot the actor, that means that they're pretty much rebooting the character again. Come on, man. Come on. So it didn't make sense to reboot again. Way too much. Anyway, so I understand the ignorance of Noah Hawley. But this Lauren Donner, come on, executive producer. And what both of them say, here's the thing. Both of them say, well, we haven't gotten any word that the movies are going to be done. And they're going to be in talks, for 18 more months or so, it's looking like, while the U.S. government is deciding if this is a monopoly or not. Of course it's a monopoly. So it's not about is this a monopoly or not. It's about who can we rub the right way. So we know campaign donations and whatnot. When it's not a campaign year, who do we need to rub the right way? How much do we need to dole out to these politicians to get them to agree that no, it's fine, we'll let this one go? You know? That's all that this is. Make no bones about it. That's exactly what that is. That's what the 18 months of stalling is going to be. And I don't think it's going to be a full 18 months. I'd be surprised if it was 8, you know? More than that, these movies being a year out, year and a half out, I think that New Mutants might get out simply because it looks like it, from what I've seen, that it could be within the realm of what Marvel is looking for. But the Dark Phoenix movie, look, I'm just saying, I really doubt it. I really sincerely doubt it. I think that's going to be one of those movies where whoever, I forget what her name is, the girl who played that Stark girl, who, let's be realistic, like, what does she really do in that TV show? What does she really do? She's the dumb girl who always makes the dumb decisions. She got her father killed. She's not the one who killed him, make no mistake. She didn't actually swing the sword and all that stuff. She didn't want that to happen, but her stupid decisions and her whining and pleading and begging and foot stomping is actually what got. So she plays a good pouty girl, and I don't think that qualifies her to play Jean Grey, Phoenix, one of the strongest females in the comic book universe, therefore the literary universe. For for she I know that this actress is going to say, you know, if the movie does get scrapped, even though she's filmed it and all this other stuff and is in production, I guarantee she's going to be like, you know, it was a really good movie, and I think that's such. And it's like, just please don't say anything. Just let it happen. If it gets scrapped, let it happen. If somebody asks you about it, be like, well, I thought it was going to be good, but apparently Marvel thought better. Oh well. You know, maybe I can work well with Marvel in the future. One, don't burn your bridges with Marvel, because there is a chance that something else could happen for you. Two, like especially when you're dealing with DC is now, or excuse me, DC, Disney is now monopoly. Don't mess with them, all right? Because that just kills your career from that point on. Um, Two, you don't have the acting chops. Maybe you do, and we just haven't seen it yet. But we've seen X-Men Apocalypse. You were not believable. Nobody sat there and said, "Oh my God, she was just amazing in this movie," except the people who follow her on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and GFYS. Figure out that that initialization for yourself. Yeah, I don't see her as being a big deal. I don't see her as being relevant at all. I look forward to her character being assassinated in Game of Thrones just so I don't have to see her whiny self anymore. Honestly, man, honestly. So when I saw her going up against Arya, I'm just like, oh yes, she's finally gonna get killed. Arya's gonna slay her. Littlefinger got killed instead. Spoilers, and I'm okay with that. So I could see Noah Hawley being a little ignorant of this. You know what I'm saying? Thinking, well, the movie might still go through. He's just an actor. He's just an actor. He clearly doesn't get that none of this is what Marvel wants whatsoever. None of this is what Disney wants. You know, in circumspect. But Lauren Donner, as an executive producer, really, really. Look, I could be completely wrong on this, and Marvel could just say, you know what, we'll release it under the Fox banner. We'll see if it makes a couple of bucks. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. There might be a bunch of protesty fans, okay, like the DC fans who are actually boycotting Warner Brothers. There's not nearly enough of them. The consensus of people have spoken. You are in such a minority that you can get your little, what are you going to get? 20,000 people? I doubt you're even going to get anywhere close to 20,000. Even though 20,000 people may agree with you, they don't agree with you enough to travel out to Warner Brothers Studios and boycott. So there's that. You know, over the Justice League, we want the Zack Snyder cut. They already said there's no Zack Snyder cut. Please stop. It was the best DC movie they put out besides Wonder Woman. It was the best DC movie that was put out. Stop whining. Why are you trying to get us to go back to the Zack Snyder thing? Like, I was pleased that Zack Snyder was not involved. I could actually see the characters. Actually, if Zack Snyder was in charge of the freaking movie, then at least we wouldn't have seen that horrible CGI job with Superman's face. I'm just saying. Moving on. So, let me just digress from that. But for Lauren Donner to think that this movie's actually going to get produced, like, oh, maybe it could be produced, I sincerely doubt it. I sincerely doubt it. Uh, Marvel is going to want to distance themselves from this crapshoot. I'm not saying it's a crap show. Some of the Fox, cinematic films have actually got, like Deadpool, for instance. I disagree with um, Dick Fillmore on this. It is what it is. I think that Deadpool was actually really good. It was a huge step forward. And mind you, was it good for a Marvel movie? No. It was good for a Fox movie. It was incredible for a Fox movie. So I am looking at it from that particular vein. You know what I'm saying? But I think that for a Fox movie, that was a spectacular film, and it should be a great lesson to Fox that, hey, this is how you do it. Too late. Too little, too late. Marvel already knows how to do it, you know? So, yeah, I honestly can't see. I can see Marvel saying, we want to get right into. I can see Marvel already saying, listen, put together a script. I want to see scripts for X-Men franchises, films, all this stuff. I want to see any single character you could possibly get. Look, I just heard that Gail Simone is going to be, she's been teasing that she's going to be writing a character, a female character, a non-mainstream female character for Marvel pretty soon. And, like, who do you think, who would you like me to write for? Blah, blah, blah. As it turns out, she just announced yesterday that it is going to be for Domino. Nina Thurman. Hello! Boom! We're talking about Deadpool here, right? She's going to be in the next movie. And yes, I do believe that movie is going to come out. I absolutely believe that movie is going to come. There's no doubt in my mind that movie is going to come out. But anyway, yeah, dude, like, she's going to be doing this. I'm down. I'm down. I honestly see them turning around and saying, listen, we got to fix that up. You know what I'm saying? We got to fix up the way she looks. The characters have to look the way that they look in the films or in the comic books. They have to look like that, or at least very close. Like, the worst you're going to get is like a Scarlet Witch, who doesn't have the whole, thing of the regalia robes and all that stuff. But Scarlet Witch has changed her clothes many different times before, so it's not that far of a stretch of imagination to think that she's just going to wear a blazer and a mini skirt. To go out there, it's perfectly within her realm. You know what I'm saying? But she got the colors right, so I can honestly see them saying no. We're not going to keep these other films. You're done. You're gone. We need to distance ourselves from you. It's not about confusing the fans. It's about we want a fresh start. And if we put that's probably going to the Dark Phoenix saga, really, especially since the second one is not going to be made. Do you honestly think the second one is going to be made? Does Lauren Donner honestly think that the second one is going to be made? Because this was supposed to be a trilogy, the Dark Phoenix saga trilogy. You honestly think that Marvel's going to let them do an entire trilogy? That's never, ever going to happen. That clearly will not happen. Quote, episode 52, podcast number 54, all right, of Comic Book University. It's my 54th podcast. Remember this day. I'm making that prediction now. Marvel is never going to say, yeah, let's move forward with those other two crappy movies that you wanted to put out. It's never, ever going to happen. There's no chance of that happening. Plus, the best thing that Fox had was Bryan Singer. Guess what just happened? He's been dropped from being executive producer of season 2. There is going to be a season 2 of Gifted. Thank God. Let him keep doing TV, man. Let him keep doing TV. But he was dropped from that. He's going to be dropped from all future projects amid sexual harassment charges now. Guys, if you're in a position of power, that whole I did it with my secretary thing, keep that to Pornhub. Don't try and do that in real life. Keep it in your pants. Words of wisdom from Professor Bill. Done and done. So we have, oh my God. I just don't see how an executive producer can honestly think. Like, how out of touch do you have to be to think that Marvel is going to approve of you putting out more of these movies? It's never when they can be doing their own movies, getting the costumes right, getting the stories down better, making them some kind of relevance and actual good Easter eggs here. Plus, on top of that, they look. Marvel has made no bones about it. They said plainly to oh, for crying out loud, Chris Claremont, okay, the guy who did the best X-Men comic stories ever, ever. Len Wein made the new generation of X-Men, the all new, all different X-Men, all right? But after that, Chris Claremont immediately picked up, and for a decade, just the best X-Men stories you could possibly imagine. Solo series, everything. Boom, 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 boom. And Fox Studios tried to get Chris Claremont to come over and help out. But like, hey man, come on in as an executive producer. Give us some consultation. We'll pay you some good ducats. And he was like, And Marvel said, dude, I'm just saying. We're going to hire you back, put you on retainer, okay? We've had our differences before, okay? But do not help them out, please. They made no bones about that. They never denied it. They never denied it. So, yeah, they did that. And now you don't think they're like, hey, Chris. You don't think Kevin Feige's going to be like, hey, Chris, let's rap for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Bob Iger, you're talking about rapping. Bob Iger will be doing beatbox. He absolutely, like, dude, that is the scene that you're going to see. And they're going to be doing some of the best X-Men movies. People like the X-Men movies before? Ka-ching. So, yeah. You really think that they want to see the Dark Phoenix Part 1 saga? I just don't see it happening. I don't foresee that happening. And I guarantee you they're not going to greenlight an entire trilogy of it. That's guaranteed. So let's see what some of the comments are so far. Boom, 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 boom. Joe Fisher, Monday is the 2-hour season finale of Gifted. Yes! Oh, man. Good and bad. Good and bad. I don't want to end, but, Titan Drops, is Gifted good? Listen to Joe Fisher. Yes, it is. But I am Homer. I am a Havoc and Polaris fan. And Polaris is in the show. Yeah, Polaris is just awesome. Polaris is absolutely awesome in this. Titan Drops, I think she's pretty enough for me. It's a lot more than that. X-Men needs a different starting point for the MCU than a half-told story of the Dark Phoenix. Yeah, if they give us much more in that movie. Agreed, Joe Fisher. Agreed. They need to have something and rooted in the actual universe, just something else for them to deal with. Yeah. Okay, so moving on. You notice I got a urination scene over here with Ghost Rider, right? You remember that from Spirits of Vengeance? Well, the Brian Taylor, the assistant director, I guess he was, who knows who this moron is, the assistant director for that movie, said that he's sick of the Marvel movies because they're boring. And he was the assistant director on Spirits of Vengeance. Okay, so for our next topic, Bryan Singer, dropped for sexual harassment. Okay, Deadshot and Lobo were dropped. That's the last thing I've got on here, but I got a Jodie Fisher thing I want to mention also. Deadpool and Lobo were rumored to be dropped from the WB universe. Look, I've been saying this for a while. And mind you, I'm not on the inside. I'm not going to try and claim that I'm an inside guy. I know some people. I don't know anybody. You know what I know? I know how to Google. I know how to research, and I know how to discern baloney from what seems to be a credible source. So I do my research and I look on and I see that DC is not happy with not DC, excuse me, more specifically, Warner Brothers is not happy with the profits that the DC movies have been earning. Have they been profitable? Yeah, if you spent this much money on the movie and you make this much movie on the movie, if you make $1 more, then it's technically profitable. But who wants to break even? And even if you're just making a little bit more than that, you got to actually look at it this way, okay? You got to look at it this way. If you are working on, let's go the old Laverne and Shirley route, and there's going to be a bunch of millennials who are like, what the frick is this guy? Who's Laverne and Shirley? All right, how do you even spell these names? Is Laverne a real name? Look, Laverne and Shirley route. Okay, you're in Milwaukee. You're in Milwaukee, and you're working on a little bottling plant. All right, so you're putting gloves on top of bottles. Okay, that's what you're doing. So you're putting gloves on top of bottles as they go by. For whatever reason, shut up. Okay, you're putting. Let's just say you're putting the tops on top of bottles before the a better automated system has come out. So what do you call it? You're putting them on, one person is putting them on top, the next person is dropping a hammer on them to get them in. Okay, let's just say that's the case. That's the assembling line you're working on. So you agree to work for, let's say by today's standards in the factory, let's say $15 an hour. You're kind of getting screwed. You were hoping for $20 an hour. You were asking for 20. You were hoping it would settle on 17.50, 18. But they started out at minimum wage, so you're just like, okay, you know what? Let's negotiate. Fine, I'll do it for 15 and see if something better comes along. Okay, so you're doing this job for $15 an hour, but they wanted you to be doing this for $10 an hour. They'd settle for 12. They wanted you to do it for $10 an hour. Well, in order for them to not pick up and move to China or Mexico or any place else where the labor is going to be a lot cheaper because they don't have minimum wages in those countries, you can always skimp on that. You know what they do in the auto industry when they can't skimp on anymore because safety hazards, laws, and regulations saying no, you can't put bald tires on a car. They have to be brand new tires. You can't put a half chewed serpentine belt on a car. No, you actually have to put a good belt. Like when they can't skimp anymore on weights and measures and all that stuff, they always cheapen the horn. That's a big thing in Detroit. They always say cheapen the horn. Remember when horns used to have balls? Remember when horns were like that, And now you got me, me, me. It sounds like it's struggling. It sounds like you're stepping on a freaking frog to try and, tell the other guy in front of him that he's a jerk. You know what I'm saying? That's called cheapening the horn. In the auto industry, in Detroit, that's what they call cheapening the horn. Any little thing that they can do to try and cut a corner to save a couple, because everything is about profitability. And make no mistake, those reports that had come out, if you'd seen them, where they say things like they actually do an assessment and they say, okay, check this out. It was actually mentioned in Fight Club about airlines, but this is about the auto industry also. This started in the auto industry long before they did this in planes. When they say, okay, listen, seatbelt regulations, airbags, all these different safety features, whatever, blah, 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 blah. What constitutes a recall? Well, a recall only happens because a recall costs us. They already know how much a recall is going to cost. So they'll look at it and say, okay, what are the likelihoods of people actually dying in this? And of those people, what are the likelihood that they will actually be able to not only sue us, but successfully sue us? Because if you're really poor, you're not going to be able to sue us. Come on, who's going to do this pro bono? Who intelligently is going to be able to do this pro bono for free? If you're not familiar with the term, lawyer term means for free. So they actually make that assessment. They say, okay, it looks like it's going to be about even. So now we're just talking about saving face at this point. So, okay, if this many problems happens with a car because of things that we cheapened the horn over, then boom, we're just gonna do a recall instead. All right, and we'll try and handle what we can. But if we're looking at only getting sued by like 5, 10, 100 people, something like that, it's cheaper to just deal with the payouts, you know what I'm saying, and pay these people off, settle out of court, with the caveat that you have to shut your mouth, or a gag order. You can't talk about the case at all, okay? They actually do things like that, you know what I'm saying? So with, jeez. Wow, I kind of got off a subject. That happens sometimes. Anyway, so with DC, they literally look at this and they say, okay, I don't think that we're going to make that much money off of this. Okay. Oh, I was doing the Laverne and Shirley routine. So you have them doing this. If Laverne and Shirley are working on the line and they assessed, this is how fast the line goes, this is how much I've got to work. You know what I'm saying? Boom, done. So I've got to put out, let's say, to make it easy, 100 bottles per day. I've got to, let's do an hour. Okay, let's do it more realistic. I've got to make sure that I do 100 bottles an hour. That's what they're giving me. But now that that the company had to pay them more, like $5 more than they expected to pay them, they're going to get that money back. How? In production. They say, yeah, listen, we got a quota of 200 bottles per day. Actually, be more like 150 per day. You know what I'm saying? They're going to say, listen, we want you to put out 200 bottles a day. If you get less than 150 per day or per hour, we're going to have to say that you're simply not living up to our expectations. We're going to have to let you go. It is that 3-month window where we can fire you for anything. Oh, you can quit for whatever reason you want, but we can fire you for whatever reason also. You can quit anytime you want. How is that a deal? You know what I'm saying? This is saying before we actually give you your protection rights, we can do whatever we want to you. So, so they're going to say, okay, we're going to get extra work out of them, and we're going to get that $5 an hour extra over what we wanted to pay them back. That's how. DC and everybody, Marvel as well, everybody's going to do the exact same thing. That's big business. Welcome to the corporate world. Okay, so they're going to sit there and say, okay, how much. It's very similar to the way, like, when you go into a store and you see something that you like, let's say a comic book character or a T-shirt, or some kind of maybe you want to do a cosplay costume, or a statue or a figure. You know what I'm saying? One of these guys up on the wall. Every time that I look at some kind of a purchase I'm going to do, I say, how many hours do I have to work in order to buy this? You know what I'm saying? If I'm making $10 an hour, okay, if I'm making that $15 an hour that these guys are talking about making, boom. I see something that's let's say $45, and I'm making $15 an hour. I look at this Hawkman statue, yeah, because I am actually in the market for a Hawkman statue. I'm gonna look at this. I'm gonna say, how much do I like this? Do I like this enough that I'm willing to work for 3 hours in order to buy this thing, plus taxes? I can assure you, these big companies are doing the exact same thing. They're trying to get their money's worth out of it. So if they can make a profit, because who gets to keep the profits? Right? That's what they live off of. So if they're getting a profit of $1, which is ridiculous, okay? Clearly the movie's a bust for them. If they're making a profit of $1 million, to you and I, that might seem like $1 million. Nice. But what if Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them Part 2 has a projected of making an overage of $250 million? How's that $1 million look right now? Doesn't look so good, right? Warner Brothers has almost entirely lost interest in the DC movies. What they have lost, they haven't lost interest yet, not totally. What they have lost is confidence. They don't believe that the DC cinematic universe is as successful, and they're right. The numbers show it, are not as successful as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Therefore, they have to look at this from a fiduciary point of view. What is in it for me? What is in this for me? And if they see, and they're already seeing, we got problems here, problems there, problems there. Is there a way that we can salvage this and actually make money off of this? They had their own private lot, not their own studio, unfortunately, but they did have their own private lot. Now they reined them in. They say, you guys aren't going to have this free will anymore. I mentioned all this. They reined them in. They said, okay, listen, here you are. You're going to be here. You're going to be working here. Close-knit supervision with us. Some of our other directors, we could be like, hey, go and check out, see what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Report back, and there's the whole rumor mill, gossip mill, and things like that going on. Let's see exactly what's happening here. We're going to keep a closer eye on you guys. We're not going to walk, or take a golf cart all the way down here and see what you guys are doing anymore. We're going to have you right here with us. That right there is a big sign. They took, of all people, they took Jeff Johns and somebody else, I can't remember who. They shouldn't have taken that person off either. Just whatever. I didn't prepare for that. They took these two people off. They kept Zack Snyder on because Zack Snyder does have this big, resounding buff in history because they look at the numbers and say, well, 300 made a lot of money. 300 made a lot of money, so, he's there. And this goes back into that Jodie Foster thing I want to talk about in a minute, maybe 3 minutes. DC has lost confidence in the ability for these films to make money on their own. So they're basically giving them one more chance. And they've also said, listen, Suicide Squad, you guys promised up and down that this was going to be the movie that, since BVS didn't do as well as it wasn't even profitable. As far as we're concerned, it was not even profitable. The fall off from that first week, that record-breaking first week, to having a record-breaking fallout the following week, unacceptable. And they said, and then you guys promised, DC Comics promised us that Suicide Squad was going to be that buffer between that and the next movie because you want to make sure all these other movies are good. So that was supposed to be a guaranteed hit. We even financed for your reshoots, and what happened? So yeah, they dropped Deadshot. You know what I'm saying? A controversial pick was what do you call it? Will Smith as Deadshot, Frank Lawton. Lawton. It shows you that nobody gave support for that. Whoever, I don't know actually who made that casting call decision. Okay, I don't know who made that casting call decision. I am actually curious to find out more about that. If I could, that would be a big question. Why did they choose to go with Will Smith? I'm sure that he was pining for a position. He was pining for something. They thought, okay, maybe he'd be good in this, whatever. They were hoping to diversify. I'm sure that's always a concern, which I don't think that necessarily shouldn't be a concern. You want to diversify because you want money from all over, you know what I'm saying, from multiple different sources, not just, just gods of Egypt, okay? I'm done talking about that. But I think that they could have picked somebody better than Will Smith personally. But rather, they looked at and they said, well, historically, Will Smith has always done good. Yeah, but you guys don't use social media to realize that people have been criticizing his latest films and saying that he's very bland as of late. He's just doing the same roles over and over again. He hasn't gotten as bad as Ice Cube. You know what I'm saying? I don't think anybody can get that bad. But people just aren't clamoring for Will Smith anymore. Ever since like Independence Day, it's like, eh. You know what I'm saying? Whatevs, man. So that's the problem with executive producers. They're in an echo chamber and they're just hearing themselves talk to each other. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this guy's. And they're always mentioning these old, tried and true actors as opposed to doing what Marvel does, for instance. I hate making that comparison. I genuinely do. Marvel's not the only one that does this, but if I'm going to make a comparison, it makes sense to use Marvel as the comparison. To find new actors to do this. Robert Downey Jr. aside, all right, and Scarlett Johansson for the most part aside. Both of them haven't been, doing anything of particular fame and import when the Avengers movie came out, or when Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 1 came out. Robert Downey Jr., people had given up hope on him. They originally wanted Tom Cruise, and he turned it down. So, and I guess good thing, right? But forget about it, man. Somebody made the decision, Will Smith. We should go with Will Smith. And you could tell that there was zero support for that across the board. Across the board. Because Lawton has always been white. Guess what? He's still white. And I'm not trying to make this a race issue. I'm pointing out the idea that DC Comics does not support the decision. In the comic books, they would have probably changed Will Smith, or changed Frank Lawton to be black for whatever reason, like just done the change, oh, it's always been like this, or here's a reboot, like the rebirth, and things like that. Any old little thing could have been done to show, oh no, he was always black. What are you talking about? They could have had a new version of Lawton. There's so many different things that they could have done to support it in the comic books, but they didn't. You know that Marvel would. You know that DC even would if like they changed Wonder Woman's costume for Rebirth. Hey, the Wonder Woman movie came out. She never had that costume. Make no mistake. That is my favorite Wonder Woman costume ever, hands down. I wasn't a huge fan of the New 52 costume. I did like the armor costume that happened later, but like this new version with the pads and all that stuff, the leather pads. Oh my God, that's amazing. That is amazing. And they did the switch in the comic books. Boom, done. They what do you call? There's a lot of examples of that where they've changed one and they made it look like that way in the comic books also. The cinematic universe is doing it this way. Let's do it this way also in the comic books to reflect that. So this way we can hopefully glean a couple more audience members, for a comic book from the movies. They've always done that, but they didn't do that with Lawton. Go figure, right? So you could tell that there's no support there. Just all that stuff. DC is losing confidence. They've dropped a Deadshot solo movie, and they wound up dropping Lobo as well. 10 more minutes. Let's do 10 more minutes. I want to talk really quick about several of the big wigs. Actually, let me try and get some of these I think she's pretty. That's enough for me to say. Okay. Joe Fisher, Lenny and Squiggy is the only reason I watched that show. Lenny and Squiggy were awesome. Doug, I'm sensing a corporate rant coming on. Shut up, Doug. Dick Fillmore. And mind you, I've worked in the corporate world before. I don't have a problem with the corporate world necessarily, but I do understand, the way that I've worked. I've been so entrenched in it. Um, Ever since before I went to Saudi was just me saying I need to get out of that mindset. I need to get out of that mindset. I went over to become a teacher, and I worked my way up to becoming an English professor at a university. Just it was like I had to just get away from the corporate world because it sucks you in, and it's competitive. It's so competitive. You actually have to try and bite other people. You know what I'm saying, to get ahead. You have to try and eat other people. It's like a Shark Tank. You know what I'm saying? I want you to just think about it this way. On a very low scale, have you ever worked a job that pays commission? Because if you have, or if you talk to anybody who does work for commission, it's dog eat dog. You know what I'm saying? And in the corporate world, you have got to, you're always moving, and you're not getting paid any extra. You're just always moving. You're always doing something. Sharks can't stop. If they stop, they don't breathe. You know what I'm saying? Sharks have to keep moving. And the sharks don't know if something is edible or not unless they try to eat it. So there's a reason why they call them sharks. It's not even that they're big, nasty, teeth, vicious. No, it's just they act like sharks, and everybody's afraid of them. Everybody hates them. So, yeah, the corporate world is very dog eat dog, and I get that. So, Dick Fillmore, I was hoping Will Smith would try the Joker and Jared Leto was Deadshot. I don't know if Jared Leto, because now I got Jared Leto in my head for that, but Will Smith as the Joker. I never thought about that. You know what? Why not? Because he does like to do that crazy, stuff all of a sudden. Why not? Hell, if that's the case, have Hugh Laurie do the Joker, right? But yeah, I could totally see. Yeah, why not? He's tall, he's thin, he's got the frame and all that stuff. Yeah, and he does do that freak out moment kind of thing. Yeah, yeah. Joker doesn't always have to have the high pitched voice. You know what I'm saying? Although he can do the high pitched voice, but he usually does that silly. Why not? Honestly, Dick, I think that's actually a good idea. Doug, hey, I was all for it, man. I do have a problem with the corporate world. Oh, geez. Okay. Well, you work for the media, so yeah. I'll tell you how the corporate world affects the media one of these days, just not tonight. So, yeah, everything you watch on the media already bought and paid for well in advance. Otherwise, let's be honest. Why do we need to see a commercial for Boeing jet? Is anybody actually in the market to buy a Boeing jet? I'm not. I will probably never be able to afford a Boeing jet. There's that. Or Lockheed Martin, anything like that. Come on. I knew plenty of people who worked for Lockheed Martin in the engineering world. So, yeah, you buy the news media outlets, just for the sake of conversation, the news media outlets have a policy. We will never begrudge or talk down to betrodden a sponsor. So if someone buys ad time for us, then we will not cast a disparaging light upon someone who pays us money for ad space. You just have to actually do the ad space. It has to be on the up and up. Otherwise, it looks like it's just a buyout. It's got to look authentic. So we won't talk about Lockheed Martin being war profiteers as long as they buy ad space for our commercials in the news. Ever since 60 Minutes, man, ever since 60 Minutes, the corporate world started to realize, this media business could actually be profitable. That was always supposed to be a lost leader. The idea of having a news segment on TV. That's the reason why it always came on at 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock if you were lucky. It always came on at like 11 o'clock because we're not going to make money off of the news. Put it on and then put the late movie on afterwards. There were networks that only did a half an hour news, if you can imagine that. Forget about an hour long news. But then they realized, hey, we can actually tell people what to think. Imagine that. Anyway, Okay, so the last thing that I've really got to talk about, what is this? Um, Doug. Oh, I know. Local print is a little different though. Yes, I went from corporate pharmacy biz. Oh my God, I didn't realize that you were actually in the thick of the you worked in hell. Imagine that. You actually worked next to Satan. Jeez. To corporate news biz. Jeez. Yeah, Doug, by the way, the nerditor, the editor in chief of Nerdarchy, which I'm going to get some sleep after this. I'm going to wake up and I'm immediately start working on my article and my Facebook stuff. So he's kind of my boss over in Nerd. I don't get paid for it, so but still. And then PA Stewart had to get a price quite for a Gulfstream once. Long story. I think you're saying price quote. I'm not sure. A spell check probably screwed with you, but had to get a price quote for a Gulfstream once. I am actually interested in hearing that. PA Stewart, check me out on Twitter. Uh, Doug, yep. Why do you think I got out of that? You wanted to keep your soul, dude, obviously. Okay, so in about 5 minutes, 4 minutes, do I think that I can knock out this thing on Jodie Foster? It's not just Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster basically cast a disparaging light on Marvel. Actually, not on Marvel, on all of comic book movies. She just lumped them all into one big sum and said, I don't think that they're very brilliant. I think they're killing the movie industry and blah, 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 blah. At the same time, in the same breath, at the very end of that same breath, she says, I'm not saying I wouldn't be in a superhero movie. It's just it'd have to be one where there's some thought provoking stuff. Hmm. Jodie Foster. You're so cute. No, you really are. I remember when you first started off in the movie business, where you were just supposed to be some rape victim in The Accused. That was actually supposed to be Kelly McGinnis's movie. Kelly Guinness, McGinnis, who knows anymore? That was her last really big role. She was your lawyer in that movie, and you were just this girl who took off your clothes and had a really raucous sex scene on a pool table. That was all that you contributed to the movie. And then afterwards, just, they hurt me. It was them, and then they laughed. And that's what they did to me. And somehow, some people just bought into your emotion and the idea that you played a very good, ignorant little cute girl who didn't deserve what happened to her. That was actually supposed to be Kelly McGinnis's big role. She was hot off of what was that, Top Gun, and they're like, oh, dude, she was awesome in that. We got to get her in another movie. Let's do this movie. She'll be the strong lawyer who fights for and wins the case. But people somehow took to Jodie Foster instead. I don't begrudge anybody for that. Whoever wants to like whoever they want to like it. I like Jodie Foster's role in that. I thought it was good. It was definitely a breakout role for her. It totally put, what's her name down. Literally, what's her name? Kelly McGinnis or Guinness, whatever her name is. Just completely put her down. Took her breath away. Tough. See what sticking with my day job. So what happened here is she kind of usurped the status quo. That's what happens. Kelly McGinnis was actually angry at Foster, angry at fans, angry at the movie industry, angry at everybody, angry at the hand that she originally ate from. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the other reasons why she was absolutely buried from that point on. She was supposed to be the big hit from that point on. But things didn't work out that way. I remember, well, actually, I don't remember. It's not like I was there. But sci-fi movies. You ever hear of Plan 9 from Outer Space? You ever watch it? It got the Golden Turkey Award. Just, Anyway, Ron Wood. There's a movie called Ron Wood with Johnny Depp in the lead role. And he was amazing, and the movie was amazing. It's an amazing film. It's in black and white, but modernized. Please go and watch that movie, Ron Wood. Ron Wood. RONWOOD. Ron Wood. Do yourself the huge service and watch that movie. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. People used to make fun of the sci-fi genre in movies. All right, way back in the day, like, oh, it's ruining our serious movies. Yeah, like Charlie Chaplin. Saying the Gold Rush with the potatoes and yeah, um, such serious movies. I'm not. I don't dislike. I love Gold Rush. Gold Rush was great. Charlie Chaplin was a genius. All that good stuff. But let's be realistic. There was no great, oh my God, these movies that were being made at the time. You ever seen Chinatown? Yes, I have seen Chinatown. It was pretty good. But there's room for other movies out there also. But then Star Wars came out, and right away it's just like, oh, they're, this stuff is coming up. Alex Guinness, all right, who played Obi-Wan, the original Obi-Wan, he actually cast a disparaging letter. He said he turned down the script at first. I doubt it. I doubt it. But whatever. He absolutely threw shade on the movie. At first on the script. At first, like, I didn't want to star in this because it's not a serious movie. It's just some fantasy hoity-toity stuff. But I negotiated and I wound up getting a sweetheart of a deal out of it. And he did. He actually got one of the best contract deals ever. You know what he did? He wound up finagling so that he gets 2% of the gross of the movie. 2% of the gross of the movie. Do you know how much money he made off of that movie? Dude made bank that day, all right? Anyway, so all these people casting a disparaging light on the sci-fi genre, and sci-fi genre became something amazing where people actually go and they'll see like Alien, the first Alien movie, Ridley Scott, and be like, oh my God, yeah, it was done in space and it was an alien and all that stuff, but like it was such a great psychological thriller. That was just an amazing movie. I couldn't believe everything. Like, wow, it was genuinely scary. Like, I was afraid. In space, no one could hear you scream. And then the Terminator, there was so much like psychology there. It was just great. Dude, and we can just go on and on and on. So many great movies out there. There's the Twilight Zone, all right, which changed a lot of things. A lot of concepts of what it means, like literally just pulp science fiction stories and a couple of horror stories thrown right in there and making people question themselves, questioning everyday norms. You know what I'm saying? Just people actually thinking to themselves, this kind of is a good social commentary on the state of America, the state of the world right now. Great stuff. What's the one I'm thinking right now? For crying out loud. Clack came from outer space, the man from somebody will mention in the comments, I hope. Keanu Reeves did a remake of the movie a couple of years ago. Not bad, but I still prefer the original. Obviously. But there have been a lot of really good movies that came out in the sci-fi world. And people originally talk trash about them, try to put them down. Why? Because they could see that the times were changing. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? So later on now we're at it where comic book movies are taking over, completely taking over. And then we've got the old guard, who used to be the new guard. And Jodie Foster was the biggest name of the actors who made this comment. She goes and she casts shade on the movies. Miss Jodie Foster, I don't think that anybody actually wants you in any of the superhero movies, any of them. DC may hire you because they're desperate, and you are old. You're old. It's funny, if I say that about a guy, it's like he's distinguished. If I say that about a woman, that's just rude. No, it's just old. Harrison Ford was old. All right, whatever. So, Jodie Foster, you're old, and since you're old, I'm sure that a very established place like Warner Brothers would be more than happy to hire you to be in one of their DC film franchise movies. Might even give you a lead role. You might play Batgirl. I know that Lindsay Lohan is trying to get her fans on Twitter, the Geek Fortress. They were talking about that. I want to play Batgirl. I think that my fans should make it happen. Shut up, Lindsay Lohan. So, I don't know. Jodie Foster, nobody needs you in our comic book movies. You're irrelevant. You ceased to exist ever since you decided to tell Tom Harris, I think it was his name, for the guy who wrote the Silence of the Lambs trilogy, the Hannibal Lecter trilogy, when you decided you weren't going to be in the Hannibal movie, the one that came out immediately at the sequel to Silence of the Lambs, because you said, I don't think that my character would do some of these things, shut up. You did not write the book. You did not make the movie. Your job is to act, and you don't want to act, fine, but shut up. Julianne Moore did a perfectly splendid job at fully replacing you, and she's actually become a bigger name than you, which doesn't say much. So, yeah, thank you for your 2 cents, Jodie Foster. I have 2 cents change for you. Ridley Scott as well has decided to chime in, but he decided to actually be the biggest jerk. Like, Jodie Foster is small potatoes compared to how I feel about Ridley Scott right now. Ridley Scott, I just mentioned him with Alien. He came up out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Here's this upstart who comes in and, like, here's these established people out there, right? Who want to come out and they want to make these, really awesome movies, but nobody wants to touch the sci-fi genre. I just touched on that, right? Nobody wanted to touch the sci-fi genre with a 10-foot pole. So they had to get these new directors to jump on. Ridley Scott was one of those people who benefited. James Cameron was one of those people who benefited, right? All these names that we know from the 80s, and from the 70s. That's how George Lucas made his name. That's how Steven Spielberg made his name. All these people, all right? Boom. These sci-fi movies. Nobody else wanted these roles, so they took these roles and they made them into something special because they had a new vision for a new tomorrow in the sci-fi horror genres. Now today, Ridley Scott's like, I don't like that they're going out of their way to hire younger directors, whatever, to run these movies and whatnot. I don't like that they're doing that. So instead, okay, I'm cold-blooded. I'm okay with that. I ever tell you how I got the scar? I love that. I love that they always did the thing with the tongue. So, I literally look at this as, here's these old people. At least this old guy like Ridley Scott, who's just been making crappy movies. You're the old guard, man. You've done everything. Every great movie you've ever made has already been made. Every great movie you will ever been made will make. Tense is like past tense, future tense, present tense is the key to English grammatical structure. It's actually the first thing that we teach to university students in the ESL profession. So the idea that I can't do this right now is just, wow, shows you how tired I am. Anyway, so every great movie that he will ever make has actually already happened. All right? So look, Prometheus was cute. It's great. Was there anything special about it? Anything really just make you say no? He just proved that he's the greatest director in the history of the world once again. Like, Ridley Scott, man. Give it up for Ridley Scott. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even want to mention any of the other big old name actors unless they're going to voice in their 2 cents on this also and side with him. Look, Ridley Scott, keep on doing the genres that you got famous for. Okay? Go out and make a Legend sequel. Tom Cruise is still alive. Mira Sorvino, I don't think she's doing anything special. Go out and make a Legend sequel for all I care. Do whatever you want, okay? What's Tim Curry doing as of late? You know what I'm saying? Okay, I'm actually going to feel really bad if Tim Curry actually just died. Did Tim Curry just die? I actually can't remember. Okay, I don't want to be that cold-blooded. Look, what I am saying, though, is just go out and make your own little thing. Stay in your genre, okay? Because you're not even good at that anymore, to be frank. All right? You're run out of fresh ideas. You're done. You're a has-been. Thank you. Goodbye. But you'll always have a place because the people making the decisions of who's going to be in these movies are usually old people also. But let's face it, big-name actors like Tom Cruise are probably kicking themselves as hard as they possibly can to this very day that they didn't take on, the role of Iron Man, of Tony Stark, right? Gwyneth Paltrow, who was all complaining, I don't like that Robert Downey Jr. is making so much more than me. but he's the lead, and you're Pepper Potts. You are as supporting actor as supporting actress gets. If you don't like the role, go away. We don't need you. They didn't even bother to replace her. That's how minor her role was. And now Gwyneth Paltrow comes crawling back. I'll be Pepper Potts again. Sure, go be Pepper Potts again. Same pay. Done. They'll probably even unfortunately bring back Natalie Portman, which I don't think they should ever bring her back. She's the least of people who are interested in giving gratitude to the fans for everything they put into, the cosplays, the love, the ticket sales, and everything like that. I've never once heard her say thanks. You know what I'm saying? Just, yes, I deserve this. Shut up, Natalie Portman. So that's cold-blooded. But what I will say is that Ridley Scott, you're done. You're a has-been. Bye-bye. Take your seat in the Hall of Fame. Go put your hands in some concrete again, you know what I'm saying, with a little star around you. Do whatever you want to do. We don't need you for the cinematic universes for our comic book movies. We don't need you. We are the new in thing right now, and it's not going to last forever. But while it is lasting right now, we don't need you. What we want is fresh minds. And just like all the big actors, for the most part, didn't want to take these roles, the big directors didn't want to take these roles either. So they had to reach out, just like how you were hired way back in the 70s and 80s. They had to reach out to new people to direct, people to try and cut their teeth. We don't need the long of teeth anymore. We have people trying to cut their teeth in the film industry now. And they've already proven they could do amazing things. I'm sorry. Are they really going to try and... Is Ridley Scott really going to compare himself right now to the Russo brothers? To Joss Whedon? To people like that? Because I think that would probably be the biggest, dumbest mistake he could possibly make. Absolute dumbest mistake he could possibly ever attempt to make. Can you imagine if Ridley Scott would have made Thor Ragnarok? I'm going to leave it at that. Let's finish up on these comments really quick. Doug, tell some of my staff writers that Comic Book University, ba-da-dum. Martian was pretty good. Yeah, I heard Martian was pretty good, but what's pretty good? Like, are you just being sarcastic? Like, I heard that was pretty good. That was the greatest movie ever. Because if you are, okay, cool. But if you're just saying it was just pretty good, cool. I don't want to see a pretty good movie. I didn't see The Martian. I'm not really interested in seeing The Martian. Joe Fisher, they need to put Pepper Potts in the armor and then kill her off. Does she deserve to be in the armor? You know what? Honestly, I say yes, we couldn't put her in the armor. But after she's proven... Should I say loyalty? Is that the right way to do? I don't like the idea of, Lord, I don't want to sound like, a particular president of the United States. Are you going to show loyalty to me? I don't know. Are you going to show loyalty to me? Like, what does my loyalty get me? Honestly. So, I don't know about her having to show loyalty, but show that she's not going to flake out on them again. And put them in a spot where it's like, okay, because like they gave her a superpower, for crying out loud. They gave her a superpower at the end of Iron Man 3, and then she completely clipped out on them. It was like, yeah, I don't want to come back for any more movies. Really? Really? So there's that. You know what I'm saying? Show that she's not going to be silly. Yeah, Doug, she was in the armor in Iron Man 3, but it wasn't she actually had her own comic book out for a while, actually. She actually had, she was called Rescue. She had her own version of Iron Man armor. It was made specifically for her, as opposed to her just using Tony Stark's armor. She had her own set of armor made for her, and she didn't like the idea of using repulsor blasts on people all the time, so she just she was a very different character. She just managed to use her force fields all the time to contain people, to charge through people, and do all sorts of cool things like that. She was a very beloved character. Like, I don't know anybody who didn't love the character. Rescue was amazing. Like she brought a completely new take to Iron Man. Now that I think about it, that would be a good idea to do that with Riri Williams. Just give her a completely new take. I like how she was like controlling other armors in the earlier issues, but she hasn't really done anything new. She's been very subdued as of late. Not happy with that. Anyway, yeah, she brought a very new take. So, if I remember right, Joe Fisher says, Iron Man got Robert. You do remember correctly. Iron Man did get Robert Downey Jr.'s career back on track. It absolutely did. He was finally ready to stay off of the drugs and things like that, which uh, I know not from my own personal experiences, but people who I know personally, family members included, who have had to come off of drugs. That's not an easy thing to do, and the number of interventions that you're sitting here trying to make to help these people out, like it's hard, and it's like it gets you like it got me depressed. Like I started to get depressed. Like we're spending all this time and yes money trying to help out family members, friends, whatever, and they just go right back on it, and we've been betrayed, and like the feelings of betrayal, and it's like it's not, you have to remember, it's not their fault. These addictive qualities, nobody wants to be addicted to something, and we can get into the pharmaceutical industry if we really needed to, but I'm just saying. So yeah, that was amazing that he was able to get himself out of that rut and take his place in movie history the way that he deserved. Like everybody knew that he was a prodigy. Everybody knew that he was amazing. Just look at his role in Chaplin. We were just talking about Charlie Chaplin before. He did the role of Chaplin, and he was amazing. But then the pressure got to him, and he had to bow out. Like it sucks. But yeah, he's finally in a good place in his life now, and I couldn't be more happy for him. Dick Fillmore. Oh, yeah. If you didn't see it, how do you know it sucks? Martian was a hit in the mainstream. Are you Professor Bill McGinnis? That must be the source of your Jodie Foster hate. Oh yes, I married. Oh, so her name is McGinnis. Okay, cool. Yes, I married Kelly McGinnis because dude, she was hot in that film. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Am I just remembering it wrong? Like I thought she was hot in that film, and I can't wait to see her in the if she's going to be in it. I hope she is in the Top Gun Part 2 because they are actually planning on going through with that. But as far as how do I know it sucked, if I said it sucked, I apologize. Uh, I was trying to be indicative of that. The trailers didn't appeal to me. Being a hit in the mainstream doesn't always do it for me. Iron Man 3 was a hit in the mainstream, but the movie wasn't that good. You know what I'm saying? The movie just wasn't. I didn't like Iron Man 3 at all. It was a horrible train wreck of a show. It's like when they say, oh, Marvel can't make mistakes. Wrong answer. Oh, yes, they can. And they have. So, yeah, just the trailers and all that stuff, I just wasn't interested. And I'm not a guy who likes to go and see movies all the time anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, I, I'm resistant to. I haven't watched the latest two episodes of the Runaways, and I just heard in the most recent episode of the Runaways they actually used the word mutant. That's a big deal if you think about the merger. It's already happening because in the comic books, Molly Hayes is a mutant. She's the daughter of two mutants. It's the reason why she's the youngest because it's very hard for two mutants to actually spawn progeny. And they thought that she was devoid of the mutant gene because most of them will be. So the idea that she actually is a mutant and all that stuff, like it was cool, but they killed off her parents and everything, and the original idea was we can't use the word mutant in a Marvel property. So they had to make her something else or just not explain her at all. And now they use the word mutant. Oh my God. So that's cool. I still haven't seen it yet. And I love the Runaways, but I'm just so resistant to watch it because I just don't want to go and watch a TV show again, even though I know I already love it. I don't have any interest in going to watch it. So I'm always going to be speaking from that mentality that I just don't want to watch something. I'd rather sit down and read, and that's not I'm an intellectual and that's what. No, I love watching my Marvel movies. You know what I'm saying? And when I'm watching like Agents of S.h.i.e.l.d., I'm like, I'm glad that I'm watching this now. But like I should have watched it last night. I just couldn't get myself into the position to actually watch this. It is what it is. That's just maybe it's a biochemistry thing. I don't know, but whatever. That's just where I'm coming from. So I'm not interested in watching The Martian to begin with. I think it's actually on Netflix right now. I think that my wife said that she scrolled over and watched it. I don't even look at Netflix. I watched episode 1 of this toy So like the toys that define us or something like that. And that first episode was amazing. They talked about Star Wars, and I got so into it. I'm sitting there talking with my wife. I was like, oh, they're going to talk about the Boba Fett toy right now. There's nothing else they can be talking about. And they're waiting and they're waiting. They're getting in and they're trying to build it up. I was like, just say it. So finally, like the Boba Fett toy. I was like, I told you. She's like, how do you know so much about this? Like, I lived this stuff. There's so much. Like I'm an '80s kid. Nobody knows nostalgia like an '80s kid. I was born in 1975 for crying out loud. I am an '80s kid through and through. I grew up with two flavors of Slurpee, damn it. That's red. No, it wasn't called cherry at the time. It was called red, okay? And cola. And nobody liked cola. Nobody liked cola. So like this is I grew up with wood paneling on my cars, in my homes, inside of shopping stores, Kmart, Blue Light Special, Caldors, Bradley's. I grew up with all that stuff, okay? So don't even. All right? And yet still, with this great nostalgia, Doug Vivek liked the cola Slurpee. Why am I not surprised? I love Doug. So, like, when you think about was a hit to the mainstream posers. So you're right, Dick Fillmore. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the gaming world. I just got invited by Andrew Knapp. All right, Andrew Knapp is pretty huge in the gaming industries online. All right, Tides of Change role playing club, all that stuff. The OSG, the one shot group, for just playing games online, like role playing games, Dungeons and Dragons and things like that, and the Star Wars online, all that stuff. And I'm huge. That's how I met the Nerderkey guys. That's how I met Doug. Um, excuse me. Like I love my role playing games, and Andrew Knapp just invited me to be one of the pros for the Star Wars movie. All right. Now I want you to just stop for a second and really think about what I'm about to say next. He said, I need you, he's like, do you have a strong opinion on the Star Wars movie? I said, I don't know about a strong opinion, but yeah, I loved the movie. I thought it was great. I thought there was just so much right about the movie. And he's like, okay, cool. He says, I'm going to reach out to three more people. I'm going to try and get three more people on this panel. I want two people pro and two people con about the movie. And he himself, Andrew Knapp, will moderate it. It's like, all right, cool, man. Cool. So he says, so I contacted him. It was supposed to be this Thursday that just passed. So we were supposed to do this on his channel. And I would have put a link up to it and everything. And he says, so I contacted him. I was like, hey, are we doing this thing tonight? It's like scheduled for 3 more hours from now, right? And he's like, I am so sorry I didn't get back to you. He says, we're going to put it off for at least another week. I was like, oh, sure, okay, no problem. What happened? He says, I've got plenty of people who want to talk about the movie, but all of them are in your boat. They want to say good things about the movie. I found one person who wants to say something bad about the movie, and I need two. So I want you to think about that. I want you to genuinely think about that. For all the people who make their husks and their busts and their criticism and all that good stuff, it's cute, but for the most part, overwhelming majority says, to the point where you can't even get somebody to come on air and complain about the movie. Can't get somebody to admit that they complained about the movie. All the people who he saw complaining about the movie in the various threads, he contacted them and like, well, I saw it again and it's not bad. So it's like you can't get people to show up and say something bad about the movie. And if he doesn't find a second person soon, he's going to learn that first. He's going to lose that first person as well. I'm making that prediction now. So he might have to change the form of this entirely if we're going to do it at all. But it's scheduled for next Thursday at 10 p.m. We'll see what happens. What do we got here? What do we got there? I'll con the hell out of TFA and TLJ. Posers and ass kissers for premiere passes. Ain't nobody looking for no premiere pass, man. Anyway, so yeah, it is what it is. Oh, hey, you know what? You know who I didn't see on today is my Eye of Agamotto. Where the heck is my Eye of Agamotto? Let's at least see if I can do the Twitter segment really quick. Let's see if he sent anything up to me. Just talking to him, I think this morning. Just talking to him. Things blurred. Okay, yeah, cool. Got a message. Oh, jeez. Okay, here we go. I might not be on the podcast today. It's my dad's birthday. Oh, dude, happy birthday, Papa I. Oh, but you didn't give me anything. You could have at least given me something. Let's do something here. Khan is basically what happens when Miss Marvel has spent 30 years in full Sarah Connor mode. Okay. Anyway, so it's just a Kamala Khan thing. Oh, okay, cool. Here's something that's coming up with Saladin Ahmed. Comments says, "Oh, because he says I'm extremely excited to announce my new Marvel book with Javier Castor and Hoa Jordi. Sorry, I totally ruined that name. Sorry, Hoa Jordi. Exiles. So he's going to be writing the Exiles comic, a rollicking taste of alternative reality Marvel. Nice. Marvel heroes saving the expletive universe, saving the effing universe, I guess. Stunning covers by Dave Martinez. So nice, dude. So this is an image right there. So I'll at least give you that. So I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So it's going to be an Exiles comic. I am looking forward to an alternate universe. Why not? Doug, someone made a D&D sorcerer subclass that would be perfect fantasy version of nightlife. See, now I have to see that. That should be tweeted out. Tell Knapp to play Knights of the Old Republic. Oh, he has read the Legacy comics and the movies and the Plagueis novels. No, he knows all of that stuff. Yeah, no, he does know all of that stuff, and he's neutral on the movie. Like it seems to me like he's completely neutral on the movie. Sweet looking art. Comic watching. Hey, what's up, comic watching? Hey, Professor, thanks for the show. No questions tonight. Just listening while organizing some books. Best thing to do. Doug, it's on the site now. Oh, okay. It's on the site. Okay, so I'll go and check that out. And if you guys are interested in doing a couple of games here and there, go and check out, at the very least, Nordicy.com. But I would recommend Company of the Nag. They throw together a quick Dungeons and Dragons game. You might even get yourself on a a Marvel game at one point or another, hosted by me. Just saying. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna end this. I'm gonna go and take a nap. Oh, hey, they have a Discord server now too. Yeah, that's right. You guys were talking about it, and I just right over my head. I don't get Discord. I don't see that's a millennial thing, and maybe I'll get into it, as I realize some of the better benefits of it. But I don't know. I haven't had good experiences with Discord myself, but it's crazy up in there already. Okay, I'm gonna have to check it out. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Dick, talk to you later, brother. And I'll see all you guys on the flip side. Thanks for showing up. Seriously, thanks for being so engaged in the podcast. And my typical closing. Professor Bill, Comic Book University, class dismissed.